Hi everyone, welcome to the session of resume building, which is specifically organized for the candidates registered in additional skill acquisition program. Okay, so this will be beneficial for you, like when you are preparing your resume for your upcoming placement opportunities. So without wasting much time, let's go to the session. So we'll quickly take you through what exactly is resume and what are the do's and don'ts while you prepare the resume. Okay, so resume is a summary document, concise and precise to the point. Okay, so unless like you would have heard about curriculum vitae, biodata, resume, all these things are used in the industry. But for an fresher or even a person who's like 1 to 2 year experienced, resume would be the ideal choice. Okay, so unless explicitly asked by the organization, you are expected to prepare a resume and not a CV. There are various reasons for it. The first and foremost reason is like this first point itself. Resume is a summary document, whereas CV is a very comprehensive document. And HR people usually will not get time to go through a very comprehensive document like CV. It is always expected to prepare a resume and submit to the organizations. Okay, so the summary can include all your personal details, previous professional experience, educational details, certification, skills, achievements, hobbies, etc., etc. We'll see all these things in detail in the subsequent slides. The ideal size that is expected is 1 page. If at all you are unable to make it as a 1 page resume, you can go for a maximum of 2 pages. But beyond 2 pages, it will not be ideal for you to prepare such kind of a resume. Reason being, HR might not be really interested to read it in detail. Please remember the primary purpose of the resume is to aid the recruiter in the hiring process. So every time you prepare the resume by putting yourself in the shoes of the recruiter, what exactly the recruiters are looking for, you will have to put it in the resume. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult for you to convince a recruiter who's not even interacting with you, right? I mean, like once you prepare the resume and submit it to the company or submit it to an organization, what happens is like the recruiter has to go through it, right? Only when they are convinced with the resume, they'll even call you for the next hiring process. So unless your resume is what like an attention grabbing, it becomes very difficult for them to include you in the hiring process. Okay. So while writing the resume, what all things that you need to look into? As I said, it should be ideally 1 page. A professional formatting has to be maintained. Okay, you can't put a resume as if like you are scribbling some notes. Okay, or like let's say you're preparing a lecture note. That is not acceptable at all. You will have to make sure that you are following professional formatting right from the beginning till the end. If at all you are unable to go for it, or you are unable to prepare a resume, no worries. You can download any of the resume templates that is available in the internet. Go for a template which is quite easy for you to edit, or go for a template which you like and spend some quality time on editing the template or preparing your resume, your choice. Accuracy is paramount. Okay, so you will have to own each and every word that you write in the resume. Okay, you can't go wrong in your resume at all. Remember, resume is like a passport to success. So unless your passport is proper, you will not be able to move out of the country, or go to a country of your choice, or go to a country go to abroad and work there. Resume is also similar to that. Like you will have to ensure that the accuracy is paramount here. Okay, the accuracy is always kept intact. Okay, so you'll have to own each and every word that you have it in the resume. You can't bluff. You can't put silly mistakes. You can't put grammatical errors there. Like all these things shall be avoided. When you are attempting an when you are attending a one-to-one interview, it is always good to prepare a resume, which is of infographic template. Okay, so when I say infographic, please make sure, please understand that it has got some graphical elements in it, which is quite easy for you to explain certain things, right? So it becomes like very attention grabbing. So whenever you are attending a one-to-one interview with the recruiter in person, please remember to prepare an infographic resume and attempt the interview process. You can always carry a text resume, that's not a problem, but it might be very difficult to grab the attention of the interviewer in person. But when you're uploading the resume to any portal like Naukri, Monster, or Freshers World, or even a company website, please make sure that like you are uploading a text-rich resume. Why? Because when you're uploading, the resume in a portal, it has got applicant tracking system, which is generally called as ATS. So ATS reads, the content from your resume and like tags it accordingly. So, for example, when some HR is searching from some place, based on what the information that is accumulated, that is collected by the ATS, your resume might get or your resume will be like populated in front of the HR. Okay, so if you go with colorful pictures and all that stuff in your resume while uploading it in the portal, what happens is like ATS might find it really difficult to read the content from pictures. What happens is like it will replace with nil value. So when our HR search a particular keyword or a particular thing, your resume might not fit into that particular search, and obviously you will never get a call, or you will not even be considered in the hiring process by that particular HR. Okay, so when you are uploading the resume in any company website or any job portal, please make sure that you upload a text-rich resume, which makes it very easy for the ATS to read all the information. Okay, and whenever you're appearing for a one-to-one interview, we would always suggest you to go for a targeted resume. Basically, like you will have to follow no one resume for all jobs policy. That means like whenever you're appearing for any company for that matter, you will have to prepare the resume either from scratch or edit the resume according to the specific job role that you're applying or to the specific company that you're applying. Okay. So every time you go with a specific job role or a specific company, it becomes very easy for the recruiter to feel that you are the right candidate for them. Okay, whereas if you create a common resume for all kind of jobs, what happens is like most of the companies and most of the recruiters might feel that like you are not the ideal candidate for them. Okay, no, in order to avoid that kind of a problem, it is always advisable to go with a targeted resume, which will give a feeling to the HR that you are the ideal candidate, you are the best in the lot. When it comes to the languages that you're going to put, when I say languages, it's the general languages that you know, not the programming languages per se. Okay, see, if you know English, Hindi, and Malayalam, okay, most of the cases you are going to use only English, right? And when you are in a corporate world, you are not expected to send an email in Hindi or Malayalam. You are expected to send an email only in English, right? The communication medium will also be English. Hindi is something that you can use. I mean, that will come to use obviously when you are moving to any place in India. Obviously, Hindi is going to help you, but that alone is not a a big factor in terms of hiring process. Okay, so languages known. I've seen umpteen number of students writing languages as English, Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil, or whatever. But all these things are really not important for the organization. All they expect is like you will have to speak in English, right? Okay, but yes, if you know other languages like Spanish, German, French, or Japanese for that matter, you should definitely add those languages whenever you are preparing your resume. Okay. Declaration and references only if mandated. You need not declare your resume whenever you are handing over the resume in person to the HR. Declaration might feel odd. Okay, so that is not required. And references only when, I would say that it is always good to go with references only when the company requests you, because you will get an opportunity to speak to the reference and convey a message that like someone from this particular company might call you for reference, so they'll also be in a good position to speak about you better. References can always be a separate document. I would always suggest you guys to send references as an email rather than a document which is publicly uploaded, which is available in public. So let that not be part of the resume. Let that not be part of any cover letter which is uploaded in public. It can always be part of a email, so that it directly goes to the HR. You'll also have to understand the importance of keywords, relevant words, and words in vogue. Okay, so you'll have to include the keywords that is available in the job description, so that like if the HR will feel that like, okay, this particular person is already aligned with the job role that we have, and for that reason you might stand a better chance to get selected. You need to avoid overused business jargons. Okay, that is not really good. I mean, like I've seen students repeatedly using some words that has been repeatedly used in the industry, and if it is not making any sense for that particular thing, I think it is always good to avoid those kind of words. You need to try to be unique in the resume that you create. Please make sure that you are not taking the most commonly available format and end up becoming just like any other person attending the interview. So it is always good to try to be unique in the entire interview process, because if at all your resume stand out from the rest, but the chances of getting selected is much higher. We can quickly see what are the headers that you can have in the resume. Okay, so one of the first headers that you can have in the resume is career objective. Okay, now when it comes to career objective, we have seen students simply copy pasting that is running in the internet. I would say if you don't have a career objective, please don't add it, or else craft a career objective that is actually about your career and not someone else's career. Okay. Interestingly, when students used to attend interviews and mock interviews, and if at all I feel that the career objective is not their actual career objective, the very first question that I used to ask students is to speak about their career objective, and I even challenge them. The challenge is like this, that like they'll have to speak their career objective exactly as it is in the resume. Even if there is one error, one word is incorrect, they'll be chucked out of the interview process. Okay, and I'll give them an option that like you have an option not to tell your career objective, tell your career objective, make a mistake and exit the interview process, or you can accept the fact that you have simply copy pasted. You are not so clear about your career objective. Trust me, 99% of the candidates have said, I don't have that confidence, so I might as well not say my career objective at all. Okay, that is a kind of scenario. Most of the students, that's what I've seen so far. Okay, so it is always good to have a career objective, no doubt about it, but it should be yours. Okay, don't copy paste someone else's career objective and have it in your resume. Okay, whether or not you have a career objective, it is always good to add a personal profile. Okay, so personal profile is like one or two sentences kind of a state, kind of a thing that will give a clear indication of who you are for the recruiter. So for example, a fresher, like you can have a career, personal profile like this. Let's say someone from electronics and communication engineering is interested in a software engineering job domain. You could put it like this: an enthusiastic electronics and communication engineering fresher who is interested in challenging assignments in the software development sector or software development domain. Okay, that becomes that gives a clear indication to the recruiter that like though you are coming from PC background, you are really interested in software engineering domain. Okay, so this is with regard to engineering. For arts and science students, if somebody is coming from other background, but they are really interested in software or anything else for that matter, you could put it in such a manner that like maybe a BCom fresher, enthusiastic BCom fresher looking for challenging assignments in the finance sector or whatever. I mean, like you can craft your own words. You need not copy what exactly I say. You can come out with your own version of it. Okay. So the idea is to give the HR or the recruiter a feeling that like this is what you are really interested in. This is what that you are looking for. Okay. So this will channelize their thoughts, and the questions will start coming from that particular direction, which will really help you. Okay, because rather than questions coming from all sorts of directions, it becomes quite easy if they are going to ask specific questions in a particular domain where you are really interested in. Okay, So after personal profile, you can put your academic qualifications. Okay, so you could name it like anything: educational credentials, educational qualification, academic qualification, or like academic details, educational details, whatever it is. I mean, like you can use whatever name that you like. Okay. Earlier, we used to say students to prepare it in a table, but now no longer we say the same. Okay, you could adopt any template of your choice in the that is available in the internet. Okay, so pick up something that really showcases your academic details. Okay, that's more than enough. You need not go for a table kind of a structure, because like I think like no people are no longer using that kind of a structure nowadays. Okay, and plus like HR will not, I mean, though it is very easy for the HR or the recruiter to go through, I would say that like if there are some interesting templates out there, like no, and you could adopt any of those interesting templates, that would be the best choice. Okay. Now, after academic qualifications, you can mention your technical areas of interest. Again, we are trying to channelize the interview process here. Okay. Because once they are going through the resume and you have clearly mentioned what you really like, so obviously the questions will start coming in from those directions. Okay. Now you have a reason. Okay, let's say if at all they are asking something which is outside your technical area of interest and you don't know that particular answer for it. Okay, now you don't have to bother, because you have clearly mentioned that what is it, what exactly is your interest here, right? So obviously they should be asking questions from that particular area. You got it, right? So it is always good to keep your technical areas of interest. Okay, so if you don't have any, try not to add something for the sake of adding it. Okay, that will create more problems. Okay, so if you don't have any, you can just leave it as it is. If you have like a broad area, then try to don't keep it so broad, because like a lot many questions might come from different areas where you are completely unaware of. So it is always good to keep something very narrow, so that like the questions can be channelized to the area, like no, to a particular area where you are able to answer it properly. Okay, so in multiple ways you can answer the question. Like let's say you don't have a career objective or a technical area of interest. Somebody is coming and asking that like, why don't you have a career objective? Why don't you have an area of interest? Okay, you can always answer like this, that like you are not so sure how where exactly your career is headed. Okay, because you have got multiple interests as of now. Okay, being a fresher, you would like to explore and figure out the area where you are able to like provide more value, and once that particular area is finalized, you will have a proper career objective and a technical area of interest to pursue. Okay, in that way you can definitely answer the question. Now, after technical areas of interest, you can have internships. Okay. Now, you might have done n number of internships already. Okay. But no point in adding all the internships in your resume unless it is relevant. Okay. So please add only the relevant internships. Okay. So let's say like you have taken 2 technical internships, which is really relevant, and you have taken other 6 or 7 internships, out of which one particular internships, though no non-technical, you feel that like that internship have really helped you in shaping your attitude, in shaping your productivity. So definitely you can add. Okay, definitely you can add. If at all somebody asks you like, no, why have you added this particular internship, you can clearly mention that fact that like you have developed your people skills from this particular internship. You can tell, you can mention that like you have become a person who's able to what perform really good in a team because of this particular internship, and I'm pretty sure like the skills that I have developed during this particular internship will definitely help me in the future as well. So that is something that you can definitely add. After internships, you can add your certifications. Okay, so what all certifications that you have got. So when I say certifications, it has to be a proper certificate, not something that you can simply get it by appearing for a particular course. Okay, you'll have to be certified. That means like some sort of an assessment has been done, some sort of an evaluation has been done, and you are certified. Okay, so those certifications, again, relevant certifications that is really helping you to build up your career should be put. Okay, other non-relevant certifications, I think like you could, you maybe like you could speak during that in the interview, but don't add it in the resume. Okay. And again, some courses where like you would have done the course, but like there is no assessment, there is no evaluation, and you have got a participation certificate. So those kind of things you can add it under value-added courses. Okay. See, there is a difference between certification and value-added course. In a certification, like when we are adding something in the certification, that means like you are certified, some sort of an evaluation has been done, right? And when you have mentioned something in the value-added courses, like you have taken the pain to go and learn that thing, though there was no evaluation done. Okay. Now, you let's say like somebody is cross-questioning a lot from the value-added course. You could mention that like because you felt that might complement, okay, something that you have learned earlier, you have taken a value-added course. Okay. You would have not spent a lot of time on it, just like the other certification programs that you have done. Likewise, you could bail out from that particular kind of a quest. After value-added courses, you can always mention your academic projects. Okay. So don't go for a very detailed kind of a setup unless it is relevant. Okay. Even if it is relevant, you can put your project in like maybe 2 to 3 lines. That's it, not more than that. Okay. Save all the important things for the interview. Just keep quick summary in the resume so that they'll understand what you have done. And at the same time, if they want to ask more questions, you can like go with the detailed explanation during the interview. Otherwise, no need. Once academic projects is mentioned, you can put your like seminars, paper presentations, or whatever that you have done as part of your academics. Okay, so if you have done different seminars and paper presentations within the college and outside the college, all these things you can put it here. After seminars and paper presentations, you can mention all your technical skills. So whatever technical skills that you have learned or that you have that you have amassed in the recent years, you can put it here. So it can be anything like programming languages or like let's say productivity tools or any other software that you have learned, which is going to be really helping you in building up your career or in the job role. Those skills will definitely help you in the job role that you're going to apply for. Put all those things here. After that, like you can add your achievements. Okay, so when I say achievements, it has to be an achievement. You need to be somebody who had bagged the first prize in college, second prize in the district, third prize in the state, 10th position in the country. Likewise, it has to be a proper achievement. Okay, so you can't put something like 1 second prize in percussion instrument in college. Okay, when there are only 2 people appearing for the percussion instrument competition, there is no point in telling that like you have secured the second prize. Okay, so it has to be a proper achievement. Okay, for the sake of putting something there, don't put something because like that might really create problems for you at a later point. So let's say like if at all I see a candidate mentioning that they have secured USS scholarship, so indirectly they are trying to convey the fact that like till 7th they were a very super duper student. After 7th, for some reason they are not. And that is the reason why they have secured USS scholarship during 7th standard, and post that they have got nothing so far. Okay, so if you don't have anything really to showcase during the recent past, don't put achievements. It's as simple as that. Now you can add positions of responsibility. Okay, so positions of responsibility is something that like you will have to understand as if like let's say you are a member of a club. That doesn't mean that you are having some responsible position there. Okay, so if you are an arts club secretary, sports club secretary, like college union president, whatever it is, all these things are like positions of responsibility. You may be a IEEE chapter or like entrepreneurship cell chapter or whatever. Any student body that you are actively participating in and taking up a responsible position, definitely that comes under positions of responsibility. Okay. See, remember, when you're adding a position of responsibility, that means that like apart from your academics, you are also managing something which is really good, which is really like which would have helped you in shaping up your behavior, attitude, your language. Lot many things are there. So it gives an idea to the recruiter that like you are a person who is able to stretch and get things done, right? So let's say like college union president, only one person can be college union president. There may be 1,000 students in the college, but only one person will become college union president, right? And when you have a responsible position, you will have to handle multiple things along with your studies. Doesn't mean that you don't have to study. You'll also have to study, you'll also have to secure marks just like any other normal student, right? So that is the importance of having positions of responsibility. Okay. Now you could add co-curricular activities. So whatever activity that you do that might help you with your curriculum or with your studies, it can be a co-curricular activity. So let's say like you learn or you have a finance club if you are learning like BCom finance, or be like if you have got a science club if you're learning some science course, if you have got like computer society part of IEEE if you are a computer science engineer, all these things are like co-curricular activities. Okay, so apart from your regular education, what all things that you do will definitely give a proper understanding to the recruiter. Okay, so apart from co-curricular activities, you can also add extracurricular activities, whatever extracurricular activities that you are really interested in. So your sports, singing, dancing, everything will come under extracurricular activities. Okay. So after that, you could add your personal traits, like what kind of personal traits you have got, okay, which will really help you in securing a better job, in or securing a better career. So all these things, personal traits, you can add. You can you can put it like hardworking. It is always good to complement, combine certain traits and make sure that this becomes more powerful. So something like a hard worker with go-getter attitude, something like that. I mean, like you can prepare something on your own. Okay, so you can identify certain traits and combine and position such a manner that all these traits will become really I mean, all these traits are really important for the job, and all these traits will definitely help you secure a better career. So likewise, you'll have to add. After that, you can add your hobbies or interests. Okay, so many a times we have seen students coming and telling something as a hobby, but when we explore it further, it's not a hobby, it's just an interest. So there is a fundamental difference between a hobby and an interest. So hobbies are something that you are really passionate about. Okay, hobbies are something that you are really passionate about, while interest is something that you do whenever you get a free time. Okay, so if you don't have time, you find time to do it, then that's a hobby. Okay, but you do something whenever you get a lot of free time, then that becomes an interest. Okay, so let's say you are really interested in gardening. Okay, you have got a tire, you have got classes, you have been attending college sessions right from 9 to 4. Then you have to travel home, you might have some tuition or some extra classes or whatever, and then you reach home after some 10 hours of day, 10 hours of work, or 10 hours of studies or whatever. Okay, let's say you are completely tired, exhausted. Okay, you decide not to go to your garden and take care of plants for that particular day. Then gardening is not your hobby. Okay, but if you see gardening as your hobby, even though you are really tired, you don't you don't feel to spend any extra minute but to sleep, you go to the garden, you spend some time, you pluck old flowers and old leaves and make sure that manure is proper, whether the plants are watered, you check all these things and then go and do your regular chores, then gardening is your hobby. Okay, but let's say you have got let's say somebody told you that tomorrow you are free for 3 hours. Okay, you won't pick a random activity and do for 3 hours, right? You will pick activities that you really enjoy. Okay, so those the activities that you pick to do for those 3 hours becomes your interest. Okay, so identify your activities which are your hobbies or interests and add it in the resume accordingly. Okay, please do put the right name for it. I've seen students putting stamp collection, coin collection. These are not the original names. You'll have to put, so if at all it is a hobby, then you'll have to put it in the proper manner itself. So philately and numismatics are the original names of stamp collection and coin collections. We'll have to follow the same. Okay, so this is all about how to prepare the resume. Now I'll show you certain resume examples which will give a clear-cut indication how exactly you need to prepare. Now these are not the standard resumes that I would want to showcase. I am just trying to showcase few resume templates here so that it becomes very easy for you to understand how to prepare your resume or how not to prepare your resume. Okay, so I'll just showcase few templates here and there and give you a feeling that this is how you need to prepare. Okay, so hang on. So guys, let's look at this particular resume right now. Okay, so it's a very simple resume format that one particular candidate has prepared. Okay, so the candidate has put all the personal details here. Okay, the career objective. It's a very fairly simple career objective. But again, problems are there. An enthusiastic who's looking to secure a good position in a reputable organization could have been more could have been properly framed anyway. So this is the particular format of this particular candidate. Okay, so I would say that this is not enough. Okay, it's a one-page resume, but see, hardly I don't know. I can't even say very very less words. Hardly 79 words mentioning about who this particular candidate is all about. Okay, so I would say that this is not. This should not be the way that you should prepare your resume. You will have to make it more I mean little bit more attractive and add more details. Okay. Now, in this session, I have shown you 18 different headings. Okay, I'm not asking you to put all 18 different headings there, but at least you could add 10 or 12 headings, which will give you, which will beef up the resume in such a manner that the HR will also feel that you are one of the ideal candidates. So in this case, career objective, education, project skills, strengths, and hobbies. So these are the 6 headings that this particular candidate has put, but I still believe he could have added a lot more. Okay, and again, this resume does not look really good looking for that particular matter. If you look at if you look at the formatting, there are a lot many things need to be taken care. If you look at the way the whole resume is structured, lot many things need to be taken care. I'll show you one of the other resume. Okay, so this is one of the different types of resume. So this candidate has put a portion to put the photo here. Of course, this candidate has also put the portion to put insert the photo here. So you put insert the photo, no doubt about it. Okay, but this format looks far better compared to the previous this particular resume. Okay, so this format looks far better. I mean, the location, email ID, phone number, LinkedIn, lot many things are given. Okay, so the personal profile is put. So instead of the career objective, this particular person has gone for a personal profile. Okay, so the personal traits, certificates, education details. Okay, certificates, what are certificates that the particular person has learned, and languages known. See, German is coming here. That will be really good. Okay, maybe that this person would have gone for the order in which they know the languages. So German is the 5th priority, but at least it is good to have that kind of a language mentioned here. So position of responsibility, IEEE, training, hobbies and interests. So all these things and technical skills. So technical skills, this particular structure is really good because you can see that C and C++, this particular candidate is putting up to 75%. So maybe if you go for a rating, so it's 0.7 or 7 out of 10 rating. That is what this particular candidate is trying to showcase. Okay, so Python, C and C++, Adobe XD, Android Studio, Photoshop, Illustrator. So I have got a difference in opinion with Adobe XD, Photoshop, and Illustrator. Okay, so unless you are looking for a designing kind of an organization, no need to mention this. If you're looking for a software development kind of a job role, mention something which is really required for that particular job role. Okay, all the other cases, I think let's see the excuse me with the formatting. This problem would have come because of now I converted this particular resume from a PDF to Word. Maybe because of that issue, the formatting would have come. Okay. I was trying to figure it out, like what exactly this person has mentioned in the personal profile. So nothing is mentioned, but like given the things mentioned here, I think this person is really interested in a what like no software development kind of a job role. Okay, so for that reason, almost all the things are there, which is trying to build, in which this particular person is trying to build up a career in the software development domain. Okay, so this is one particular template. I'll also show you a few things. So it's the same format in a PDF file, okay, which is more good looking compared to the Word option. Okay, so PDF actually looks really good like compared to the Word option. But again, like I would say that like there are certain problems with this particular template, though far better than the first one. There are certain problems in the particular template that like you've got a lot of empty white space. Okay, this needs to be avoided. Okay, you could still add a few more headings here. That is not a problem, I believe, because like you have education, certificates mentioned here, personal projects, positions of responsibility, training, languages known, hobbies and interests, personal traits, and technical skills. I think like few other things can also be added, like achievements is not there. So few things can be added with which she can prepare a two-page, proper two-page resume, or it could be organized in a one-page resume as well. Okay, if at all, like she is like looking into the formatting part, I think she could even converted this into a one-page resume. Now let's see a one like no, let's see how a one-page resume looks like. So this is another student's resume. Okay, it looks very neat and clean. Only one problem that I had in this particular resume is like almost all the fonts are quite small in size. So I've told this particular candidate not to consider everybody to have a 6x6 eyesight. You can't assume that like everybody will have a 6x6 eyesight and everybody will be able to read this very clearly. So if the font size is slightly increased, I think like this becomes a perfect example for a one-page CV. Looks really neat and clean. Everything is quite easy for people to understand, right? So it becomes quite easy. Like look at the skills, you have the most recent things mentioned here. Okay, you've got like some work experiences mentioned here, the organizations that he is working for, the certificates and courses that he has got, the projects that he has worked, the skills that he has got, languages, okay, and interesting, Spanish and Arabic is there. Arabic I can understand because like he had studied in Dubai. So obviously like Arabic will be there, but Spanish is really interesting because he had taken that effort to learn. Elementary proficiency is what he has mentioned, but that is actually really good. Okay, so the interest is also kept. So this template looks really cool compared to any other template that we have seen so far. Okay, so likewise, you can also prepare any template of your choice. All you need to do is like go to internet, search for resume templates, figure out the best one that you like, and go ahead and edit your resume. Okay, so please remember what we have discussed so far and ensure that you are preparing a wonderful resume. At the end of the day, job is really important and it all depends on like the very first hurdle is having a proper functional resume. Okay, so please prepare the resumes accordingly. All the very best.